everyone, I'm Peak. In the last chapter, we witnessed how Jasin, Justia, and Dante fought against the collapse of the world. Now, they are about to enter the system core to face the ultimate challenge. Let's see how they will decide the fate of this world. Otome Game Rebellion: The World is Too Real, Chapter 12, System Core.
The words of the shadowy figure echoed in their minds. The fates of you three are now tightly intertwined. Only when you completely trust and understand each other will you be able to find the path to the system core. Jasin, Justia, and Dante exchanged glances, determination gleaming in their eyes. We need more time, Jasin said. Although we've been through a lot together, to achieve complete trust and understanding, we probably need deeper communication. Justia nodded in agreement. That's right, each of us still has hidden corners in our hearts, Dante added. Moreover, we haven't received any news from the 4 dolls. The situation with the world nodes is still unclear. Suddenly, Jasin frowned and closed his eyes, as if sensing something. A moment later, he opened his eyes, his face showing concern. There's a problem, Jasin said. I can't sense the presence of those 4 dolls. It seems they've encountered some kind of obstacle in the process of activating the world nodes. Dante asked alertly. What does this mean? Jasin took a deep breath and explained. It means we still can't activate the central node. To enter the system core, all 5 world nodes need to be activated simultaneously. If the other 4 nodes haven't successfully activated, we can't enter the core. Justia frowned and asked. So what do we do now? Jasin thought for a moment, then said, we must wait, and at the same time deepen our understanding of each other. This is not only for opening the core but also to strengthen the bonds between us, which might be our final weapon. The 3 decided to traverse to the dimensional gap, using this opportunity to truly open their hearts and share their pasts, fears, and hopes. They sat together and began a long conversation. Day after day, their conversations grew deeper. Jasin recounted his lonely years as a doll maker, Justia shared her struggles growing up in a harsh environment, and Dante talked about his thirst for knowledge and questions about the nature of the world. In the intervals between conversations, Jasin constantly tried to re-establish connections with the lost dolls. Each attempt left him exhausted, but he never gave up. Jasin took out the rune given by the mysterious shadow figure and studied it carefully. This rune should be the key to opening the core. We need to figure out how to use it. As time passed, the rune began to emit a faint glow, seeming to respond to their deepening bonds. At the same time, Jasin also felt the connections with the dolls gradually recovering. Finally, after an unknown amount of time had passed, the rune suddenly burst into brilliant light. Jasin was also delighted to discover that all the world nodes had been successfully activated. I think we're ready, Jasin said, determination gleaming in his eyes. A glowing passage slowly opened before them. The 3 looked at each other and smiled, grasped each other's hands tightly, and stepped into the passage leading to the system core, ready to face the final challenge. The 3 cautiously entered the passage. As they advanced, the scenery around them constantly changed, countless streams of data flowing around them, as if all the information in the world was converging here. Finally, they arrived at a vast virtual space. It looked like an endless ocean of data, with a huge sphere floating in the center, emitting a soft glow. This is the system core, Jasin said, feeling the connection with this space. As the world's administrator, I can sense its power. Suddenly, the sphere began to emit pulsating light, and an interface composed of data appeared before them. Jasin took a deep breath and began to operate the interface. We need to redefine the meaning of this world's existence. No longer just a simple energy source, but a real, independent world. Justia and Dante stood beside Jasin, giving him mental support. At this moment, the wills of the 3 were completely merged. They stood in a circle around the system core, closed their eyes, and began to project their consciousness into the core. At first, they felt an intense pain, as if their entire beings were being torn apart. But they gritted their teeth and persevered, refusing to give up. As time passed, the pain gradually lessened, replaced by a strange sensation. Their consciousness began to merge with the entire world. They could feel the joys and sorrows of every life, the growth and withering of every leaf, the gentle touch of every breeze. Jasin used his power as the world's administrator to begin reweaving the laws of the world. He infused his understanding of fairness and justice into it, making this world no longer just a passive energy source, but an independent world capable of autonomous development and filled with infinite possibilities. Justia's experiences and feelings injected more authenticity and depth into this world. Her tenacity and growth journey became the driving force inspiring all life to continuously move forward. Dante's knowledge and wisdom brought more possibilities and variables to this world. His existence ensured that this world would not fall into rigidity and stagnation, but would be filled with a spirit of exploration and innovation. However, just as they were about to complete the process of reshaping the world, a powerful external force suddenly intruded. It was the intervention of higher dimensional beings, attempting to stop their actions. "This is bad," Jasin warned. "The higher dimensional beings are trying to delete this world." Jasin felt enormous pressure, as if the entire world was about to collapse in his consciousness. But he didn't give up, instead becoming even more determined. "Justia, Dante," Jasin called out to his companions. "I need your strength." The three tightly grasped each other's hands, putting all their will into resisting the actions of the higher dimensional beings. Their power converged into a powerful will, beginning to resist the invading force. A breathtaking battle of consciousness unfolded within the system core. The power of the higher dimensional beings was like a towering tidal wave, constantly crashing against the new world framework they had constructed. With each impact, Jasin could feel the entire world trembling, as if it might collapse at any moment. But they didn't give up. Jasin used his doll-controlling ability to create countless defensive barriers on the consciousness level. Justia's tenacious will became a solid backup in resisting the external force. And Dante's wisdom constantly sought new methods of resistance. "We must make this world more real," Jasin shouted in the midst of the intense conflict. "Only when it has enough independence and vitality will the higher dimensional beings be unable to easily delete it." So, the three began to inject their most precious memories and emotions into this world. Jasin recalled his passion for creation as a doll maker, Justia remembered her strength in growing up in a harsh environment, and Dante contributed his endless pursuit of knowledge. Gradually, the entire world began to change. The originally monotonous background began to become rich and colorful. The behavior patterns of NPCs became more real and unpredictable, and even the air seemed to have an extra touch of life. The attacks from the higher dimensional beings began to weaken. They seemed surprised by the changes occurring in this world. "Now's our chance!" Jasin suddenly shouted. "While they're hesitating, let's completely sever this world's connection with them." Jasin, Justia, and Dante exerted their strength simultaneously, pouring all their power into this final strike. A dazzling light burst forth from the system core, instantly enveloping the entire world. When the light dissipated, the world returned to calm. Jasin, Justia, and Dante slowly opened their eyes, finding themselves still standing in front of the system core. "We succeeded," Jasin said, panting. "This world is now completely independent, no longer under the control of higher dimensional beings." Dante took a deep breath, a tired but satisfied smile appearing on his face. "I can't believe we really did it." Justia looked around, feeling the changes in the world. "Everything feels different, more real." Jasin nodded. "Yes, this world now has its own vitality. It will continue to develop in its own way, and the memories and emotions we've injected will become the foundation for this world's development." "So, what do we do next?" Justia asked. Jasin pondered for a moment, then said, "We need to return to the Otome game world, to see what changes have occurred there. As the administrator, I must ensure everything is functioning normally." Dante added, "We also need to find those 4 dolls, to understand the situation with the world nodes." Justia nodded. "That's right, our adventure isn't over yet." Jasin smiled and said, "But at least now we have more possibilities. We can not only operate in the Otome game world but also explore other worlds." The three looked at each other and smiled, grasping each other's hands tightly. They knew that a brand new adventure awaited them. Whether in this reborn world or in other unknown dimensions, they would continue to move forward side by side, facing unknown challenges together. Well then, let's begin, Jasin said. A new world, a new start. Justia and Dante nodded firmly. The three walked out of the system core hand in hand, ready to return to the Otome game world and start their new adventure. In the sky, a rainbow arched across, as if blessing their new journey. This was not an ending, but a brand new beginning. In this world they had reshaped with their own hands, infinite possibilities awaited them to explore. And they knew that as long as they were together, there was nothing they couldn't overcome.
Thank you for watching this episode. Jasin and his friends have finally reached the core of the world, facing unprecedented challenges. In the next chapter, we'll witness how they reshape this world. Don't miss out on the exciting content ahead. I'm Peak. See you next time.